This is the Athletes as Educators podcast. I'm your host, Angie Lewis. On this podcast, I interview current and former elite athletes who are doing extraordinary things outside of sports. You can listen to a new podcast every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Be sure to leave a review. Now it's game time. On the show today, we have Jamal Robinson. Jamal is a former NBA player. He's played overseas, is from New York, and I'm very thankful to have you on the show today. So Jamal, will you give a little bit more about your background before we dive into your experiences?
Well, first, I'm beyond appreciative for you having me. Just from Jamaica Queens, New York. Attended the University of Virginia. Did 4 years. Once I got out, I call it a brief stint within the NBA. I jumped around, trying to get on with team to team, injury and so forth. Actually guided me towards or pushed me to go abroad and play, which was an amazing experience. I jumped around pretty much country to country, won a couple championships, and now I'm a skill developer / mentor, and it's been amazing.
Jamal, what's been the most amazing and rewarding part of now helping develop players?
Just being able to help them get better, of course, not only as far as on the court, but off the court. And trying to get them to understand that it's really difficult out there, and they should be prepared for the sport itself and life, reality. And to see them, go wherever they go as far as high school or college and do well. And then, I'm not old enough or I haven't been doing this long enough for them to come back and their fathers and they're in their careers and being thanked. But to see them doing well and get those calls and, that's rewarding. That's very rewarding.
Will you talk a little bit about your experiences playing ball? So what's going to happen? People are going to hear that you played for Miami and for Cleveland and for the Wizards and that you played overseas, and they're going to think that, man, like it was easy. Like you've done all of this. What are some challenges you had growing up playing sports, and how did you overcome them?
All that stuff, that's fine and good. For me, it was just the knowledge, and to this day, I'm still learning the game. It's what makes it so wonderful. To actually get to step on the court wearing a specific team uniform in the NBA was amazing. But just the different levels, especially now I'm thinking back on it. Some of the coaches that I've dealt with, some of the guys that I've played with, some of the experiences I've had, it's just been amazing.
Tell us about when you first started playing ball and why.
My father is pretty much in my family, and actually we stayed with my dad in his dorm room. He was actually at Denison University. It was in Ohio.
Okay.
And they have pictures of me running while he's playing, running on the floor, trying to get the ball. And once I got to New York, there were two brothers that stayed in my building, and they somewhat, I guess took the baton from my dad and got me to go out there. And if you can, what they say, if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere.
Yep.
It was rough. It wasn't easy. They made me work, and everybody in my neighborhood made me work. But the trigger really was when I heard the ball bouncing. I was up and ready to go, and they pushed me. And they helped me out tremendously.
Having people around to push you makes a huge difference. I have older brothers. They're 6'5", like they're huge.
Right.
And I was, in the backyard getting beat up on by my big brothers, but they definitely forced me to be better.
Yeah.
A lot of things that when I've interviewed athletes, we always talk about hard work, the importance of hard work. Will you define what hard work is and what hard work looks like?
Honestly, in order to, everybody has these goals, and, you have these I'm a skill developer, a trainer. I and yourself, I don't know. We didn't have that.
No, no.
It was you put your time in outside playing, getting your butt kicked. Also, watching basketball. I guess I don't know if we're around the same age, but college basketball was huge, and we sat and watched. We had the UNLV versus
Hmm.
Eric Arkansas with Todd Day and Corliss Williamson, and college basketball was so important. So I would sit and watch and watch, and there was one person at that time, in high school, that I somewhat wanted to be like as far
Hmm.
as handling the ball, and that was Kenny Anderson. He was like my neighborhood.
Okay.
So I'd watch Chibs, is what we call him, and I would go to the park and I would try to do those things, get as low as he got, and at the same time, when it came time to play with the older guys, I'd try to do those moves and those things that I watched. I'd try to implement, but by myself, it's just so much time put into it, and this is something that I try to get these parents to understand and stuff, that in terms of now, this is not a quick fix. This doesn't happen overnight. You got to put your time in. Like the basketball became a part. It was a part of me, and it wasn't just so much those later. Again, it started with my father, and I would sit and watch, Dr. J with him and stuff like that, and he would talk to me about the game. And it's just something that I took to. Again, my family played. Like you have tall, I have 6'10". My great grandfather was like 7'2", and so it was within the family. And my mother asked me to go to the store. I'm in New York, so I would bounce my basketball
Of
to
course.
the corner store,
Yep.
get what I needed to get, and put it in that hand, and then I'd switch hands with the bag and dribble the ball with the other hand. And just always had a basketball with me. Like, at one of the events that I did with Mike, afterwards we had the post where the parent forum,
Hmm.
and they're asking questions, and they were asking about time, like you just said about time, how much time. And I just told them pretty much like that ball is part of me. It was so much a part of me that, when I came home from the park, the ball's dirty. So I would get in the shower, wash my ball,
Yep.
put my ball down, and then wash me, and then dry that ball off, and I would have that ball in my. It was just an amazing level. Like it's crazy, and to think of the day that I won't be able to play anymore, actually, I get emotional.
Yeah, no doubt. Jamal, this is probably the most nostalgic conversation I've had, right? Because my brothers and I used to be out front, and our parents had this 1998 Dodge Caravan, and we could see our reflection in the big side
Right.
windows, right? So we'd be dribbling and doing
Hmm.
drills, and then you go up and down the street between your legs, and then you go
Yes.
your legs.
Yeah.
It sounds like what I hear you saying is that for those that love the game, those kids that love the game, it's inside of them, and you
Hmm.
don't have to try to get them to practice.
Yeah.
You don't have to try to send them to a whole bunch of camps to inspire them. Like either that ball is going to be in their hands and they're working, or it's not. And
They have to want it. They gotta want it, and it's crazy doing this. I've only been doing this now for maybe I guess going on 5 years.
Mhm.
And you see the parents, and there's no disrespect to anybody. Of course, they love their children and stuff like, but they're pushing them instead of them. You know what I'm saying? Like wanting it
Right,
for themselves,
and living
and
vicariously through the kids.
it's not gonna work that way. It just won't work that way unless maybe it's where a kid catches on maybe a little later. It's just that's like you said. It's got to be within you. That love has to be within you.
It is.
And I was trying to explain to these guys, like, the AAU team here would send me some guys, and they were like, "Can you work on the handle?" Yeah, we can do all that,
Yep.
but it's got to be a feel. You got to have a certain feel about it, a certain want. Like you can do all that, but again, it's a flow, and trying to get them to understand that's part of the challenge as well.
Hmm.
But it's cool.
I can tell you're a basketball purist, so it's fun.
No, I
I
I
can.
love like I it drives my better half crazy, and my little one, because that's all I do is watch it, and it's again you pick up something different each day,
Yep.
it's just somewhat sad that it's not where it used to be in the game, and I'm sure you've heard that from a lot of people that
Hmm.
the state of our game is hurting. It's not for me. I don't see it getting better. Some say, "Oh, it's more getting better." No, I think that with all these new rules and stuff like that, they're making it so soft. But as a society, I think we're getting softer. We won't get into that. But instead of that aggression, and guys have to work that harder and actually playing defense and being able to put your hands on somebody, touching them, making them work harder. Now they're only worrying about points and showtime, and I guess it is a show, but for me, it's a lifestyle. Like, it's just, I don't know.
No, I'm with you. I share your passion and affinity for the game. Just,
Right. I appreciate you.
there are a few of us left. No, um,
No, don't say that. I hope not.
no, there was a joke. It was a joke.
Yeah.
No, but similar to you, man. I used to sleep with the ball in my bed. You don't go anywhere without a ball in your. You don't
I
win.
might have I might have just stopped. Like, she's like, get that ball. I was sitting on the couch, and I don't know what it is. I bet you my little one, she probably took it and hit it. But I keep a ball, like, just to feel the seams, and
Yeah,
it's kind of crazy.
you know, Jamal. This is a safe space. You can talk about. And
Nah, I'm happy that you feel the same. Like, that's nice.
yeah, there there's something to be said for when you dedicate so much of who you are to something and being able to see the rewards of it, but to learn the lessons.
Right.
One of the most valuable things that you've said thus far is that you have to get your butt kicked. When you talked about growing up, will you speak more about what it means to be defeated early on and how that builds resilience and character in young athletes?
it not only, I mean, you learn so much out of that. When I was talking in terms of the park, I and this is crazy because you have it, but, like, well, maybe it's here. A lot of these kids don't play with the older kids, so they play with their own, and they're all working on these bad habits, stuff like that. Instead of, not only are you playing, you're getting a feel for guys who should know how to play, but of course, you're not going to be able to do the same things that you can do with the kids your age or whatever. So, you take a loss, and it should make you want to come back stronger. So you work harder on things. And
Exactly.
again, watching the game and watch maybe a specific person, preferably somebody who is successful. But sometimes those guys that should have made it, of
Hmm.
course, due to different reasons, don't make it. So maybe you watch some of them, and you just build your armor. You get better. You just you add more tools to your belt. But it's super important. And a lot of these kids do this training stuff, and then they go play pickup in the rec, and they're not even working on the stuff that you worked on.
Exactly.
Or then, and this is when I talk to them, especially the ones that are actually trying to make this or make the game the way that they eat, that they have to change their mindset even when they're playing rec. They, like, I'm gonna go left 5 times.
Hmm.
I'm gonna pull up 3. I'm gonna spin, the first 5 baskets creating for somebody else. Like, stuff like that. You got to break the game down to try to take it to the next level. And but getting your buck is nothing like that. Like, when I think about how, myself and coming up, like, just there was a path to the park, and the park that I played in was Kings Park. We called it the cage,
Okay.
and that path was pretty long, from the street to the actual cage, and I would get heckled, murdered all the way there. What are you coming here for? What do you got that ball for? You ain't. But now that I think about it, all of that was so instrumental in making, giving me the fortitude, the strength to continue. Like, things didn't go right for me in college, and I just knew inside, I felt inside that I was gonna make it, and it was just, I don't know how to explain it. It was just, I just knew it,
Yeah.
and when I had my opportunity, I played. Again, I respect the game, and when I usually do this Instagram thing, that's the only thing I do. I have all my hashtags, and it's love for the game, respect the game, and
Ah,
it's I take that, it's very, to heart, and I can't thank those guys enough for kicking my butt. And even now when I play, it's different. I find myself coaching, which I don't like because I'm not really enjoying. But at the same time, it's rewarding because I'm even these grown men. I was about to curse, excuse me. These grown men, I'm trying to tell them where they should be and stuff like that. And but I just love it. And even playing with them if I lose or I'm burning up. Like I just came from my alumni game in New York City.
Okay.
And playing with guys from '73 and the younger guys. And I found myself getting angry when we were losing, and
You can't
it's
help.
not. Yeah, it's just. I mean, this was supposed to be a joyous time, but I wanted to win.
Yeah.
And that's a whole nother story, especially in this area. Well, maybe it's the generation. The kids are just too nice, too cool. We're having a workout session, and I hope I'm not. I know I'm going off, but
No,
at the same time,
that's exactly what we're supposed to be talking about.
but it's just different. These guys,
Yeah.
like, once we step on this side, there's no friends. But yeah. But getting your butt kicked is huge. Like in that situation, if he makes more jump shots than me, I should be angry and try to work harder when I'm out and come back and kick his butt.
Exactly. Parents, if you are listening, take your kids somewhere where they can get their butts kicked. Let them move. Like, it's okay. I had another interview with someone who talked about the marathon sports. So your kid doesn't have to win a whole lot early on for them to grow and develop. They actually need to lose when they're younger so that they can build that resilience, and you can test to see if they really want it. Like if your kid loses every game and doesn't care, then they may not want to be good bad enough.
Right.
If they shoot 20% from the field and then don't ask you to take them to the gym or don't go to the court the next day so they can work on their game, then maybe they just don't want it. But we have,
Maybe it's not for them. Right.
right. That experience.
No doubt.
Let's transition just a little bit. Jamal, you mentioned that your college experience wasn't a good one.
Right.
Can you talk a little bit about the recruiting process, how that was for you, and your college?
Well, it's funny because I think I remember seeing you. Each of those Elite 100s I was at, and I wanted to talk so badly, and they gave me an opportunity, like my third one, and which was good. But they came in like my first one. I think when you first met Mike, whatever, they had like they had guys that played in the NBA. Oh, Never Nervous Purvis Ellison.
Okay.
That's not a reality. First round pick. Before he even got there, he was consensus All American. He won everything in college, and that's not a reality. And my thing was, okay, I understand it's Nike. You want to have all these A-list, but how about having some of the guys that actually got there, but the story's different? So these kids, something is more realistic for these kids.
Exactly.
And I took opportunity, especially with my guys, and I stay in touch with these guys, to tell them, like, all this right now is great. These coaches are touching your elbow, talking sweet in your ear. When that first morning comes, and he's standing across the court from you, as you're already ready, coming out, you're getting into and you try to walk up on him. See how the attitude is different. It's going to be
It's okay.
a curse word. I'm not going to curse a curse word, but get your behind back over there and let's go. Like,
yeah.
All that goes out the window. And I always would try to at least give them the heads up. Like, it's not sweet. My freshman year was a decent freshman year, and it ended off a great freshman year.
Mm-hmm.
Like this day and age, if I did that, I probably could have came out just off that.
Wow.
After that, reality set in, and it got so bad for me there that and this is just my sophomore year. I'm coming back with Dickie V's writing amazing things, and everything was supposed to be. We're playing all these big schools, like we was on ESPN and I just wasn't ready. There were some things with my coach that went wrong. He transitioned that right into basketball, and then the selfish attitudes. One of my things that actually worked against me was I want everybody to have fun. I want everybody to be involved. I want everybody And that's not the way it is. You got guys with different agendas. They're coming in, I'm going to gun and I'm going to get this many shots and stuff like that. I didn't understand really. Again, the game it was just, I had so much fun with it. And I didn't look at it as, and I it got to the point where things weren't going correctly for me my sophomore year that I started to have to see a psychiatrist. That's how much I love basketball. It was going wrong, and everything shut down. And after that, I wasn't the type of guy who, as you saw last year, I think it was 750 or 700 plus transfers.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't taught to jump ship. You face your challenge and you stick it through.
Yep.
Though I almost transferred to Cal, but I didn't do it. My father was trying to get me to go. I stayed, and I just handled it. Again, inside I knew that I was going to make it one way or the other, doing what I love, and it'll just work out. It'll work itself out. But no, my last 3 years were the school itself was amazing, but basketball wise was a struggle.
Jamal, thank you for sharing that, especially the part about seeing a psychiatrist. I think there's this stigma around athletes actually seeing someone and talking to them about needing help to think through whatever they're dealing with. And the other thing is playing sports, especially at that level, takes such an emotional toll on student athletes that we're not really taught how to handle if things aren't going well. And in the classroom,
no, especially when you're in high school, and no, I wasn't with like Rasheed Wallace, Jerry Stackhouse. Those guys were my class.
Okay.
No, I wasn't their level, but I was just right below them. But at my school and in my city, I was top 3, whatever. Yeah, and on top of that, I'm from New York, so I had all that.
Of course.
As they say, swagger or whatever. And I went down there and I was very resilient. Though he was somewhat still holding me back. And another thing, especially with these kids, and you got to choose a school that's for you. And again, with coaches, they're going to say whatever they have to get you. You just got to make sure, if anything, you want to do your homework on them and their programs and watch them play. With UVA, I didn't do that. I went off of what I was told. Amazing school, whatever. But they were a half-court offensive type. I knew nothing about that coming out of high school. And I'm not going to discredit my coach, but my style of play was up and down. So I should have went to Arizona. That's the other school that I was, anyway, that's where I should have. And chose the wrong school, and things just didn't work out. You just got to prepare yourself, and you want to go somewhere where you're going to enjoy it, get your degree, whatever you want to do, and you want to have a wonderful 4 years of school. I wish that I would have prepared myself. I wasn't ready for that. I just thought it was going to be like how I had it in high school, and it's not that way. And there was nothing wrong with receiving help and talking to that person. It did help me a lot to relieve some of that and to recognize, what exactly the problem was.
So when did you make the decision
My
to
coach
go and talk to
go.
someone? You were resistant.
But I was still in my going through my own mental stuff as far as the game, confidence, things like that. And that's where you gotta play your way out of that. But you gotta be afforded that. We had success my freshman year. And this is another thing kids gotta understand. They're gonna, just because they bring you in doesn't mean they stop. They're gonna continually recruit kids. You have to get better every single year. And that's where, you get up there, and myself, you start messing with the boosters, you start feeling really good, maybe receive, some things that you shouldn't receive so early, all the notoriety. And I actually stopped going back to New York. That's where I went wrong, because you got to come home. You got to get that feel. And I became a little bougie.
Okay. Honest. Got a little bougie for home, was big thing.
That was a big thing. You got to go home. You got to get that home feel. You got to get that home cooking. and
Exactly.
I stopped coming back home.
So what I hear you saying is never forget where you come from, right?
Mm-hmm.
Never forget where you come from. Athletes, if you are struggling, go see someone. Coaches, if you see that athletes are struggling, encourage them, make them go and see someone, because athletes are typically harder on themselves than anyone else is. When they're away from practice, if they really love it, if they're really putting in that work, they're thinking about the game. And it's
Always, right.
to get out of that. You talk a little bit about confidence. We tell kids to be confident. Confidence is important in life. How does someone build and maintain and sustain confidence as a player and in life?
Sometimes it's born within them. You have some guys that think that they're hot shit. Period. Excuse my
Mhm.
language.
It's
But
okay.
I tell all the guys that I have, in terms of that I've worked with, or in regards to the game itself. In life, you have to have that, but in the sports realm, in terms of the game, it's okay to be that nice, lovable, whatever on the stand side of the court.
Hmm.
But once you actually step on the court, on those, on that side of the lines, you have to be almost, to the point where you're arrogant. I'll just say it, assholes make it,
Yeah,
and nice guys don't. Like, yeah, you can be a nice guy off the court, but on the court, you got to be that dog. And confidence is beyond important, and that's something you can develop through work. You put in the work, and at the same time, you have guys. I have guys that are doing the skill development stuff. They stand in the mirror and tell themselves, if that works for you, that's fine. But you got to feel that within. You got to know it. You work on your game. You get up your shots. You put your time in, and you rely on that. The work that you put into it, you rely on that. And if it's something where you getting ready to have a game, you tell yourself, like, I put too much time into this to fucking feel this way. And at the same time, it also helps having somebody around telling them, like, you can't be scared to miss. If it's in terms of making shots, you can't be scared to miss. You always got to feel the next one's going in. You mess up, it's more important for you to have an aggressive mistake than a passive mistake.
exactly.
And that's just something that whoever is dealing with them, I believe, should keep drilling and drilling. But at the same time, they gotta feel it themselves, and they gotta trust and believe in the work that they put in.
Nothing compares to putting in the work, right? You can do all the affirmations you want. You can watch as much ball as you want, but if you don't put in the work and you don't give yourself a chance, there's
Not-
as we close that it's really difficult for some athletes to really wrap their mind around, which I want you to comment on, Jamal. So we're told, the kids are told, like, if you work hard, you'll get what you want. And if you work hard, you'll achieve your goals. But
Right.
my philosophy is hard work only puts you in position and gives you a chance to have a chance. But not working hard doesn't even give you a chance. So have there been times when you've worked hard and not gotten what you wanted?
Um. Yeah. I guess Miami Heat. I killed myself to get to that point. I wasn't drafted or anything. Um. I'll use the Heat or as the example, the situation as the example. I killed myself all through the summer in front of Coach it was Stan Van Gundy at the time. He was the assistant coach, and I worked so hard outside of there.
Mm-hmm.
Got to the point where when Coach Riley got back into town, again I worked in front of him, put in so much time. Whatever. When it came to the actual season, that kind of just went out the window. Like, it's hard to explain. I just all of that work that I put in, I didn't. Maybe what I was just telling you, or was talking to the parents and whatever about. I didn't do. I didn't have that same. I didn't tell myself I put in all the work.
Mm-hmm.
When it came game time, you know, nerves and stuff like that, which are fine, but I wasn't confident.
Mm-hmm.
I kept saying it'll come. I just need more time. No, you don't get that time, and that's what happened with me. They needed me right then and there. So all that I did, and they got me there, but it didn't get me to that second or third contract. I got one contract, and when I initially when we spoke, well, when we in, in, talked first, whatever spoke. Excuse me, I'm babbling.
You're fine.
Um, that's where I said I underachieved, and I should have spent more time within the league, skill wise, side. I had
Mm-hmm.
all that hard work that I put in up to that moment. It, I just, it just didn't translate when it came game time,
Yeah.
and it was something where maybe I needed to do more. And I'm talking when I say more, not just getting up shots, staying afterwards, or being there beforehand, but maybe while I'm sitting on the side, I should have paid more attention to who I'm getting ready to guard. Wouldn't go into the end of the game, but you're. But once Eddie Jones and these guys they got hurt, it was my time,
Mm-hmm.
and things didn't shots didn't fall. I didn't get the stops that I needed to get, and that time didn't last long. And again, you got to be ready for that opportunity. You may get that opportunity one time, and I don't know if that answers your question.
It does. No, it does. That's real, Jamal. I mean, we all have those stories of when stuff did not work out like we planned.
Yeah,
And it's a part of life. So we learn a lesson, we move on from it, and then we teach other people what we learned from our experience. Because it's hard when we don't get what we plan for.
no
Man,
doubt.
it's
No,
really
I like I've had a couple of people approach me that knew me from before and stuff like that from school, and they're like, the reason that you work guys out or you go at these guys at these camps is because of that, because you've gotten there,
mm-hmm.
but you've fallen short, and you feel as though, and I didn't think about that until once they say, you're like, well, damn, maybe it is, because there's so much fire I put into it. Like with these guys, I get so fired up, and like we're walking to lunch or something like that. At Elite 100, you got a little bit of time to walk. I get in, I start talking to them, or even during the games when they set us up with two coaches, I pull the kids off, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. But I feel it's important to talk to them about the things they did wrong. I guess all this happened, and the reason I'm doing it is all it was meant to be, and a lot of it is because I did fall short in my eyes. The greatest moment for me, and I think this is one of the questions. I'll go ahead. One of the greatest moments for me was being able to play in front of my parents and basically my neighborhood
Yeah.
in an NBA uniform. After that, I was like, oh, okay, I'm good.
Right. This
Because I made it. I got there, and I faced all the adversity, and I got there. I didn't average, you know, a lot of points. I didn't average medium amount of, but I still got there,
yeah.
and that was all the hard work and stuff like that. But it got me, but so far, and this is where some of the guys that I see that I'm working with that have the opportunity. I try to work on things besides just that physical, but their mental as well, because that level. And we're talking about the ultimate level, even in Europe. And I don't know if you played over there, but pretty much if they bring you over there, they're expecting you to do almost everything. Depends on the level. EuroLeague level, okay, but you gotta have a specific skill set. But it's also all about your mental, your mindset,
Mm-hmm.
and are you able to weather storms? Because they're gonna come. You're gonna have those moments. Are you gonna be able to get your butt kicked and get back up?
Exactly.
So yeah,
No, it's evident that you're passionate about helping youth. It's evident that you want to
definitely.
help them who play ball and help them more than just on the court. Like there's
Yeah. No.
as we wrap up, if there are people who want to learn more about your experiences, if there are players, maybe there's a kid in St. Louis or in LA or somewhere else in the country who wants to get in contact with you, how can people reach you?
I mean, I got my Instagram, which is JROB um, uh, JRob7 Nike. I almost forgot it. So that's JROB, the number 7 Nike.
NIK?
Yes, Nike. I'm sorry. And then my email, which you have. I don't mind you. which is jrob7jam at gmail.com. But any way I can help, especially, it's not just about the game, because a lot of the stuff that we talk about translate into real life. And it's the same thing, even if you're a career person or your child. And that's what he has to understand, that there's always going to be somebody trying to get his job, and he has to be on top of his job. But any of those means or ways to they can, and I'll definitely respond.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being on Athletes as Educators.
No,
You dropped some knowledge bombs today. We appreciate it.
no, I hope I wasn't babbling too
No,
much.
you're perfect. You're perfect. Everything you said made sense, and
No.
and this moment of nostalgia of walking down the street, bouncing the ball,
Yes.
basketball, and doing all these things that really show outward love for the game is something that we definitely need to get back to.
Right. No, I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to the Athletes as Educators podcast. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and listen in every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday to hear how current and former elite athletes are changing the game.